Alright, so this is part 2 of my spinal surgery recovery story. Yo, what's pumping, people? So today I'm bringing you part 2 of 4 in my spinal surgery recovery story. So I actually have a new lighting setup right now, so it's a little bit of a new setup that I'm working with. It's not currently working because I actually have pretty good lighting right now, so it's not bad, so it's not really necessary. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this new setup. Hope it's better, and let's get right into the video. Alright, so this is part 2 of my spinal surgery recovery story. This is where I explain the surgery itself and everything that had to do with my surgery and everything involved with the surgery. So, picking up from where we left off in the last video, after my brother took me on his ATV, he drove me back to our camp, and I was seated down and I told him that I should be fine. If I lay down for a bit, I'll feel better. I laid down on our blow-up mattress, which I just thought it was in pain because it's a blow-up mattress. It's not supposed to be the most comfortable thing in the world, but I thought, hey, it's something, let me just rest it off. My brother didn't want me to go to sleep, but I just wanted to rest a little bit on the bed. In the meantime, actually, rangers were on the way. So I rested for 5-10 minutes, maybe even less. I don't fully remember. But I rested on the mattress for a little bit. It wasn't the most comfortable thing, and I was in a lot of pain. So I actually went outside to our little outside of the tent, and I sat down in our area. I sat on a bench. The rangers came and they asked me if I was okay. They asked me what my name was. They asked me where I was, and I remember telling them, yeah, like, this is my name, this is how old I am, and they asked me, where am I? I was like, shoot, okay, I don't know where I am, but it's not because I forgot because I have a concussion, because, that's what they were doing a concussion test, but I just didn't know the name because I told them, I don't know what the name of this place is, it's just somewhere that I go to frequently with my uncles. It's about an hour and a half away from where we live. And they're like, oh, okay, so he just doesn't know the name, so it doesn't have to do with a concussion, it's just he doesn't actually know where he is, because he just doesn't know the name. So there was no concern for a concussion. So they asked me, do I want an ambulance? And in my head, I'm thinking, oh no, I don't have insurance, an ambulance is going to be extremely expensive. I didn't want to do that. They told me, and actually my entire family was just telling me, to not worry about the cost of an ambulance. If I'm in severe pain, I should just focus on getting to the hospital and being treated. So I was still contemplating. I didn't fully want to go with the ambulance. I thought it was just a severe back pain, but it was going to go away. But there was one thing the rangers told me that solidified my decision. They told me, look, right now, your pain is at a 7 out of 10. That's pretty extreme. Keep in mind, you still have adrenaline in your body. That adrenaline is gonna wear off. And that second that your adrenaline wears off, and the second that the adrenaline wears off, you're gonna be in a lot more pain that you're currently in right now. That really scared me to think that this pain that I'm feeling right now wasn't as bad as it could get. It could still get much worse. So I was like, okay, fine. I want an ambulance. I'm really glad I made a decision because it took a while for the ambulance to get there. And by the time the ambulance got there, sure enough, the adrenaline had worn off and the pain was unbearable. So the ambulance arrived, and the paramedics were actually really amazing. I had a great time being on the ambulance ride because the paramedics were actually really funny. We cracked quite a few jokes, and it was a really enjoyable experience considering that halfway through the ride, the pain started to kick in a little bit more. But before I get to that part, the ambulance arrived, and the paramedics diagnosed my level of pain, and they're like, okay, we're gonna give you some medication. So they injected me with 5 milligrams of morphine. In my head, I was thinking, wow, that's a lot considering I had never even done weed before. So for me, morphine was quite a lot. So I was just like, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that. Like, I'm not sure if this is what I want to do. But they're like, look, kid, you're in a lot of pain. It's not going to get any worse. It's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. It's a long drive. There's a lot of bumps. Just accept it. Just take it. So I was like, all right, fine. They injected me with the morphine, and immediately I felt it. I felt my legs go numb. And I was really scared because, like, oh my God, what did they just inject in me? I just lost all feeling in my legs. They just paralyzed me. And then I guess they quickly set in the morphine because I guess I was a little giggly because I was like, whoa, I can feel my legs because I moved my toes. And I wasn't expecting to be able to move my toes at that moment because in my head, I thought I just got paralyzed. And they only gave me half the dosage. They told me that I was going to be administered 10 milligrams of morphine, but they only administered 5 milligrams at that moment because they said, I'm gonna want and need that other 5 milligrams later on the road because it's a long drive and it's very bumpy to get out of the area that we're in. This place is called Gorman Valley and there were a ton of bumps. I'm really glad that I held off, or that they held me off of the other 5 milligrams because by the time we exited the Gorman Valley itself and we had finished all those bumps, the morphine felt like it had worn off. I was already in pain once again. So then they administered the other 5 milligrams of morphine in me. I asked the paramedic if it was okay for me to sleep in the ambulance. You know, in my head, I'm thinking I should be wary of going to sleep because if I have a concussion, it could be dangerous for me to go to sleep. But the paramedic told me, no, rest assured, I should be fine if I want to sleep. You know, I know that he knows that I have the morphine running in my system. It's a very relaxing drug. And, you know, if I want to go to sleep, I'm more than welcome to. It's still like about another 20 to 30 minute drive. Like, okay, sure. I actually wasn't able to fall asleep because I was just focused too much on everything around me and what was going on with me. And the paramedics were just so funny. It was honestly an enjoyable experience for me being in an ambulance considering the circumstances. But got to the hospital and I was put on a gurney and they're like, okay, we're going to do some exams on you. We're going to do a CT scan. We're going to do an MRI. We're going to see what's going on and see if you're fine. I was put on a gurney and I was put on a wheelchair and I was walked into the laboratory where I still got up, you know, and I walked myself over to the platforms and they took my scans. By the time they concluded the scans, my family was already there. My brother was only the 30-minute drive from Gorman Valley, but my sister and my mom were about an hour and a half away, and they actually, by the time that my scans were done, they were already there as well. So my whole family was there, and I am back on the gurney waiting for my scans, and I'm starting to feel a lot more pain again. So they actually tell me if I want to take more morphine. I told them I'm fine. And then a few minutes later, I actually tell them if it'd be okay for me to take the morphine because I was actually starting to feel a lot of pain again. So some more time passed by. Some time passed by, and a nurse or doctor, I don't recall who it was, tell me, okay, you can't move anymore. You have a chance fracture. You have a chance fracture in your lumbar 1 and thoracic 12. 2 pieces of your disc have been fractured. So your vertebral column could snap at any second with any movement. And if that happens, your spine will collapse and you will be paralyzed. It instructed me to no longer move. If I moved, I would be in danger of being paralyzed. Told me chance fractures are sometimes fine. They don't always require surgery. But it was very risky. They told me they highly recommend that I accept the surgery. So I did. So because I had decided that I was going to have a spinal surgery, they quickly transported me to the ICU, the intensive care unit. They took me up on the gurney, and between 2 or 3 men, they grabbed my blanket and folded it around me and they lifted me up together at the same time and slid me over onto the hospital bed so that way I wouldn't have to move at all. It was too dangerous for me to move, so they did that for me. And I remained hospitalized for the rest of that day. This was all of Sunday. At some point in Sunday, I had a doctor speak to me regarding the process in the surgery. My surgeon. He tells me, okay, Alejandro, this is going to happen. This is a procedure. This is your estimated recovery time. They told me that was really difficult because I remember when I was in the ambulance thinking and asking the paramedics, hey, like, in my condition, do you think I'll be able to return to the gym on Monday? Like, can I go back on Monday to work out as normal? Because, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm in a lot of pain, but I should be fine by end of day. By the time I go back home, Labor Day is over, I'll go back to school, I'll go to the gym. That guy told me, I don't think so, buddy. I'd say you might be out for at least a week. In my head, I was like, whoa, a week is too long. So when my surgeon tells me, okay, you're going to be out of work and out of any sort of physical activity for about 6 months because it's too dangerous, after the surgery, I was like, what? Like, I'm supposed to be away from work in the gym for this long. The only thing I'd be able to return to is school, and even then, I was going to have to wait 2 weeks before I could return to school. And I was really concerned that I would also really fall behind on that. So in my head, I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, this is seriously going to mess me up. But, clearly I didn't have a choice. It was the best option I had. My other option was to be paralyzed. And, the grand scheme of things, I'd rather be handicapped for 6 months than to be paralyzed for the rest of my life. So I was like, okay, fine. The doctor explains to me the procedure, and he tells me, okay, Alejandro, I need your signature. I need you to sign off that although this is everything that is listed on the procedure, we want to make sure that if anything else is necessary for this procedure, that we have your consent to do anything else. My sister strongly advised me against this. She did not want me to do that because she was scared that it would mess me up further and like there was greater risk in whatever it is. And I told her no. The greater risk is me having the surgery and then them having to stop midway through the surgery because I didn't consent to them going forward with everything that they need to do. So I told the doctor, yes, I consent. Like, I'll sign the paper, I'll write my signature so that whatever has to be done in that surgery room will be done. No ands, ifs, or buts. Everything will be done right then and there. I do not want to have multiple surgeries. So that's what happened. I was set for surgery the following day. But this whole time, my mom was extremely scared, worried, nervous, and anxious. As was I, but most of the anxiety didn't come through until the very end. I allowed myself to be distracted the entire time and not think about anything and not allow myself to think of anything that was going to be happening to me until the very end. In the meantime, I was just going to spend as much time with my family and not think about it. Plus, since I was still in pain, I was occasionally being administered morphine, which at this point was no longer morphine. Instead of being given 5 milligrams of morphine, I was given 1 milligram of Dilaudid. And for those of you who don't know, morphine is a derivative of Dilaudid. 1 milligram of Dilaudid is the equivalent of 7 milligrams of morphine. So it's significantly stronger. So whenever I felt pain, they would administer me Dilaudid, and more often than not, I would sleep for 1 or 2 hours shortly after. So A lot of the time, I didn't spend it thinking about what was going to happen to me. However, I saw the effect that it was having on my mom. She was extremely sad and extremely worried. And I remember telling her, "It's going to be okay, Mom. Don't worry about it. This surgery, the doctor told me there's a 99% chance of success, like, what are the chances of me being the 1%? It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Don't worry, Mom. I'm going to be okay. This surgery's going to work. I'm scared, and I know you are too. But don't be scared. I'm going to be fine." I didn't know what was being talked about in the back. I didn't know what the doctor was telling my sister. And I didn't know about this till much later. So, Monday comes around and I'm told, okay, you are scheduled to have surgery at 12 o'clock because that's when the surgeon will be in. So they prepared me and hooked me up to an IV bag. So that way I could stay hydrated throughout the process of the surgery. So they're filtering out my bodily fluids and hooked me up to the IV, so that way I had no issues throughout the surgery. 12 o'clock rolled around and I was taken into the preparation room. It's this really yellowish orange room, really dull. There's just this ambiance to it. It smelled like alcohol. It's just so quiet, like that's where bad things happen. I was there with my sister, and I remember talking to my sister for so long, and I had already gone to the restroom, but I was there for so long that I ended up falling asleep because the doctor was late, the surgeon was late, and I ended up falling asleep. When I woke up, I actually had to go to the restroom again. And I literally peed just IV fluids because of how long I was in there. But I believe around 1:30 or 2 o'clock, the doctor finally arrived and they were going to prepare me for surgery. They're like, "Okay, Alejandro, the doctor is ready to see you now. Are you ready?" I was like, "No, not even a little, but it's as ready as I'm going to be. So let's get this done with." So I'm taken into a room where it's just completely white, full of lights. All I see are bright white lights in a bluish, whitish room. And I have 4 or 5 doctors surrounding me. I have someone put this really thick, warm, white blanket on top of me. It felt so comforting. And there was someone above my head. They asked me 2 questions, and I used to remember what they were, but I forgot them. And then he asks a 3rd question. But as he was asking the 3rd question, they injected something into my IV. And I remember thinking, I wonder if this is the anesthetic. And then I looked up to answer the doctor that was above my head, and I thought to myself, wait, what did he ask me? And that was it. I was gone. Next thing I knew, I was back in that orange yellowish room in significant pain, just thinking, oh, what the fuck just happened? The surgery had been complete, and my life as I knew it had just changed.